So we finally get a moment that I think many of us have been anticipating, which is Kabru meeting Laios, and I was under the assumption immediate spice. Because the interesting thing about Kabru is he's very much a people person. He can read people quite well. Even with limited information, he actually gets down a fairly right track, even if he's not 100%. Where Laios is the opposite. He's not really that great with people, but he understands monsters much better. They're kind of like the yin to their yangs. We get this reunion. We get introduced, properly to the full group, his old traveling companion, right? We get to see Shuro, and the idea that it immediately is like, he's able to deduce that, like, actually, he didn't seem guilty. Either he forgot, the treasure was a trap, or, he goes down the list and immediately is like, actually, something's a bit different. And they kind of give you a curveball because you assume, at least based on what I've been seeing with people talking about this show, is that when the reunion happens, it will be spicy, right? Because they're basically hunting down who they think are thieves, not knowing about how well the treasure was actually a trap, and also, they actually weren't doing anything bad to them. And this episode comes in, de-escalates it, to then only re-escalate it to the maximum degree at the very end, when it's revealed that they used black magic to save Fallon, which, for a friend learning that, it's kind of tragic because you're like, you're now the most wanted criminal, how dare you put her through that, and what the hell am I supposed to do? Cut to Kabru, who's like, that's way worse than I was, and I'm like, bro, I thought we were gonna be able to chill together, and you thinking it's Christmas morning and you got a bucket of the Colonel ready to eat all for yourself because you realize that maybe you weren't wrong after all. And I'm like, oh, Delicious and Dungeon never change. Full live reaction over on my Patreon. If you want to see my full link up thoughts to this or any of these wonderful episodes, it's going to be over there if you're interested. So, man, Delicious and Dungeon. The thing I really like about both last week's episode and this week is how it lets you catch your breath. Not in the way that it's like, it's calm now, but like when you consider the month prior, it's like, oh shit, are we watching Made in Abyss? And it's like, actually we're Made in Abyss all along. So the idea of like having some more chill time to kind of relax and regroup was very important. But then again, you have to remember that Delicious in Dungeon is a master at dropping the dark bombshells. Whether it is, the confrontation at the end, or most importantly, what the hell happened to our girl? You knew it was bad initially when you saw her eyes bleeding, but when you pull away and see that monstrosity, what in the actual... That's drama for another day, I suppose. But I love the reunion, man. Because, honestly, I don't think our group recognized Kabru's at all. I mean, they probably should, given that they've bumped into them a couple of times, but then again, maybe it's just because they've gone through so much, it's like literally buried in the back of their mind. But obviously, they're hunting down who they think, and for Kabru to pretty much be like, actually, we're fine. Like, I don't got anything to say here. His teammates are pretty much like, what the hell is the point of all this? But the idea of actually allowing friends to get caught up as someone who's very good at analyzing situations, and because a lot of what he knew about Laios and what he kind of had an opinion of him and his sister was, them drinking at the tavern, listening into conversations. He may not be 100% accurate on all his readings, but he's generally in the ballpark just from limited information. And the idea that I said a couple videos back is that I wouldn't trust the power of the dungeon or the power of the world in either Laios or Kabru's hands. They're both too much of an extreme on both ends. While it is true, Kabru is the type of guy that one wrong move and goddamn rip bozos, that's all I'm saying. Like, if he believes he's doing the right thing, I don't think there's a line that he, in his mind, can cross. It's all fair game. And the idea of watching a friend who literally is pushing himself to absolute, he's not eating, it's just, he can eat and sleep when he gets to his destination. And to just see how, like, weak he is and how they're getting this, like, they're catching up. It's such a great piece of dialogue as you have all the other characters just doing funny things. Of course, you have Senshi trying to make the moves on a woman, which I can't say I blame him. Even if he doesn't realize he's pulling out the Riz, I mean, he was at the end of the day when they were cooking. I think had all the drama not happened the way it did, Senshi and her would have been, wrestling under the covers a little later, if you catch my drift. But, then it just all implodes. And to walk in, and I like, this really does say a lot about Laios' character. There's no resisting, there's no fighting, and there's no trying to stop the blade. He knows his friend's not going to hurt him. The thing is it's kind of cruel too, because there's obviously this moral code, and, like, this is something that, like, you don't use black magic, right? Like, this is the #1 taboo. Add into, like, okay, yes, it's the only way to save her, but, like, what did you do to her? And what I said initially when she was brought back, I don't need the end of the episode to say, I told you so. Using dark magic of any sort never goes well. Like, it just doesn't. Like, that's kind of the whole thing, that you can have the most noble and righteous of persons, and it still's not gonna, because it's usually taboo for a reason. Maybe it works out for a bit, maybe it goes according to plan for a bit, but eventually, either the person who uses it gets corrupted, or the thing they used it on doesn't go according to plan. And what seemingly happened with Fallon is that the Red Dragon and her, they mixed. And it kind of seems like it's a bit of a tug of war to see which one's going to be the dominant personality. And so far, with what the end of the episode said, it ain't Fallon right now. And that is worrisome. Now, our characters haven't even seen all that. So it stands to reason why someone's freaking out. And, you know, imagine being like, well, now I'm in this crime because of course I'm not going to turn my friend in, but why would you do this to me? It's a very complicated situation. And then there's Mr. Kabru being like, this is great. This is what I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. I'm like, this show's been great, man. 16 weeks in, the popularity's only getting bigger and bigger. Hopefully this is going to flex to Netflix that, hey, this is the way to do it. These weekly experiences, far better than that binge drop, man. Like, if Delicious and Dungeon would have dropped 2 batches, 12 episodes and 12 episodes, this show would have a third of the popularity that it currently does outside Japan. As someone who's been covering this show weekly, it's not just about my own views or anything, it's the actual discussion online. It has been a steady-ass climb weekly. The first third of this anime, talked about, but not the craziest thing. Second third, oh shit, this is actually starting. It feels like more people now than ever are because if you're logging into Netflix and every week, and I see it myself, they advertise this shit really well, people are going to start checking it out more and more. And I really hope this is a good sign to come, because I think Netflix legitimately has one of the best video players that I've experienced out of all the legal streaming apps. If they can continuously do weekly simulcasts like this, hell, the Delicious and Dungeon simulcast is more consistent on release date, no issues with the subs or video player, than half the Crunchyroll shows I'm watching. Like, I really hope this is a good sign to come, and that when the last season of Beastars pops up, I don't have to yo-ho-ho it like I typically have for the past 2 seasons of that. But anyway, I digress. This was a fantastic episode. I'm happy that Netflix actually allowed the show to pop off and bring on episode 17. Let me know your thoughts down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new around here. Of course, ring that bell so you know if I went up a little more. And like I mentioned, we got those full live reactions over on my Patreon. And hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. Alrighty, so today we got Intar's students, Pickrick 542, Thor Linsgard, They, Anthony Silva, and Mac Velli. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.